Hello everyone. So today we have our special guest with us, Dr. Vandana Shukla, a senior and fearless journalist, poet, storyteller, and a writer. She has been a part of many big media houses like Times of India, The Tribune, etc., where she has written articles on gender, education, health, etc. She is also president of Chandigarh Arts Literary Council of Women Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And apart from that, she is the official biographer of Monk Sangasena and is working on her next book on children in conflict zone. So, ma'am, talking about our first question, that you have written a book on the life of monk Sangasena, like about the Nirvana thing, how he postpones Nirvana and his journey in that. So, what like some special features or some interesting things you would like to talk about this book?
Yeah. First of all, I want to thank Dr. Amit Nagpal. And when I came in contact with Bhikkhu Sangasena, I thought, he was a very unassuming monk, very simple. I couldn't imagine that this person would have done such great works. And he asked me, I used to teach as a volunteer. I used to teach a few girls from his school here in Chandigarh. They had come here for higher education. So he asked me, why don't you come to Ladakh? And I was very scared because I'm asthmatic. And so 2 years, I kept booking my tickets and I wouldn't go. So once he said, all the fears are in your mind. And I internalized it. I thought perhaps what he says is right. And so I went to Ladakh. And my eyes popped off, seeing the work he had done, because he would give me those, very simple kind of brochures, that this is the work we are doing. But those brochures didn't give me any idea about, the scale and the potential of the work that was undertaken by him in Ladakh. So I got this Fetzer Institute's project, to research what he has done in Ladakh. And my take home from this research was that if your intent is good, no matter, because Bhikkhu Sangasena didn't have any education. He is KG fail actually, and he didn't have any money. He didn't have any resources, but he could do such a lot of work because his intent was right. So I realized that, either in personal life or in companies, in corporates or whatever, if your intent is not right, then perhaps success won't follow. He achieved this unprecedented success in bringing about the social transformation in Ladakh. He could achieve this because there was no vested interest for him. His service was selfless. Yeah. What next?
Okay. Nice, ma'am. It was nice to know that how right intent can lead to beautiful success and how monk Sangasena achieved that. So, ma'am, you also have got a new role at WICCI. So, how are you promoting arts over there, and what are you liking about your new role? What is it all about?
Okay, this is called Arts Leadership Council. And this is, you raise a volunteers team, art as such in India is not a paying thing. So what Wiki Arts Leadership Council does is, we promote all artists, artisans, designers, or even women in media production, whatever creative field if you are in. So Wiki helps in raising profitable art-oriented organizations. We provide legal help. We provide organizational help. So here I am heading the Chandigarh Art Leadership Council, and I have about a dozen very strong artists as members. And we have already done two things. One is to for the restoration of art, and the other to promote artisans in Punjab.
Great, ma'am. So, inspiring. So, ma'am, also you have written many articles on children in conflict zones. So, and your book is also coming on it. So, some light you want to throw upon that too?
Well, before I talk about this book, can I talk about my grandmother? You know,
Sure, sure.
because my journey is incomplete without her mention, because she raised me. My grandmother was widowed at 23, and she educated herself along with my father, because she realized that her life had no hope. So to cut the story short, she was sent to Rajasthan to start a government school in a small village called Kharwa. So when my grandmother went there, because she was a widow and she was always dressed in white, and we are talking of 40s, 1940s, just after independence. So when she would knock at people's doors, to send their kids, and they would shut the door on her face and they would say, "Subah subah Rand aa gayi." Rand in Rajasthani means a widow. And it's very inauspicious to see a widow in the morning. The same woman, they won't let get transferred all her life. My grandmother lived and taught in Kharwa, and she started what now we know as adult education. But at that point of time, this concept wasn't there. This term wasn't there. So from her own meager salary, she would buy kerosene, because this village didn't have electricity, and she would teach the adults at evening, because she realized that unless the adults are taught, the children can't be educated. And very often we are told that Brahmins are the exploiters, and Brahmins did that and this. My grandmother was a Brahmin, and she taught these children. They were all lower caste kids, the lowest caste kids. So what happened? My mother died when I was just 2, and my father refused to remarry. So I was sent to this village, to my grandmother's village, for she raised me, and I got my primary education in the same school with these sweepers kids, and mochi ka ladka. And so that had a great impact on me, because right from the beginning, we later on, of course, we were sent to Ajmer to have good convent education and all that. But this was my foundation. So when I came to journalism, my natural inclination was to find stories of people from the downtrodden classes, and people whose rights were taken away. So my focus was mostly on women's issues. And when I came here, when I started my journalism, militancy was fading in Punjab. So I got to see some amazing stories, and it was really my good fortune that I could also, in the process of reporting, I could also help these people fight for their rights, and 84 riot victims. And we also had a lot of NRI wives in Punjab, those who were deserted. And so it was kind of journalism and activism, both, because you were in your own little way, you were able to help people. Then, because I came from this background, I always did 2 jobs. One was paid journalism. I also taught in a university, but I was also doing voluntary work side by side. This is how I met Bhikkhu Sangasena, because I was teaching as a volunteer in his school, and I taught in many NGOs here. So it was enriching, because I realized the voluntary work would give me more joy and fulfillment. And of course, the paid jobs were needed, to sustain this life. Like I met Bhikkhu Sangasena, I had done this story actually. So I came across this couple in Pune who adopted 200 children from conflict zone, from Kashmir. Their premise was that children who are growing in a violence, or in a culture of violence, because Kashmir was all about resistance, and these children didn't know any other way to react except to be violent, to agitate, to revolt. So he brought these 200 children to Pune, and he thought, let's try. This was a social experiment, that if these children are raised here in Pune, what happens? Maybe they come out of the culture of violence, and they may become peace ambassadors for Kashmir. but it's a story of great struggle, and great struggle for the children also, because they are uprooted from their natural environment, and for this couple also, because it's very, very difficult to transplant. I mean, it's you bring a sapling from Kashmir and try to grow it in Maharashtra. As such, it's very difficult. For human beings, it's even more complex, because every year these children would go back home and they would bring back the same culture of violence with them. So, there had been instances where, they would post pictures with AK-47. They would do a lot of things which are not acceptable in the so-called normal society, the kind of society we live in. So these kids are now in their mid-20s. When they came here, they were like 4, 5, 6. So I have, in literary terms, we call these books polyphonic books, where we try to record different voices and try to understand what they underwent. So this book is about that. So I have tried to trace journeys of these kids from Kashmir and their process of transformation, which was very, very complex.
By listening only, it sounds so powerful. I really consider the book would be very powerful, and I wish you all the best for the book also.
Thank
So,
you.
ma'am, apart from this, any other thing you would like to share about journalism or your journey in life? Any other thing? Any other story?
Journalism is my experience of journalism is that journalism is very enriching. It is very rewarding, and the spectrum of experiences it offers to a person are amazing. But after a while, I realized that journalism also, has undergone a lot of change. The time when I had joined, and the time and the way it shaped up with the electronic media coming in, and I realized there was a lot of negativity in journalism. So I kind of withdrew, and I thought, let me focus more on the positive stories, because if for bad things, unfortunately, this is the premise of journalism, that, we report only when something negative is happening, but there are 20 good things happening in the society. So I try to focus on that, and I find more joy in that. I think that's more enriching. One more thing which I did in my personal life that I would like to share, because these are the things we don't talk about. I adopted a girl child when I was working as a journalist, and I was working the post-militancy phase, in Punjab, when thousands of children were abandoned. Actually, these stories most people didn't talk about. So raising this kid and helping her get a good life was another very fulfilling experience for me. And I feel that we should talk about adoption more openly. I have many friends, who have adopted kids, but they try to hide it. They try to hide it from the kid itself, and they try to hide it socially as well, because there is some kind of taboo about it, which should not be there. We should talk it openly. Like many other good things, it's a good thing, because you are giving good life to a good opportunity to a child to have a good life. So
Uh,
yeah,
yes.
I think, yeah.
Yes, I'm sure like adoption is really a beautiful thing, and a beautiful message also given by you that we should focus on the positive side, positive aspect of our life, and make people also aware about that. So thank you so
Yeah,
much, ma'am. That was all from my side,
my
and
pleasure.
great talking to you. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you from Bloggers Alliance family. Thank you, ma'am.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you.